Darren, it seems like Angela Merkel has been around through crisis after crisis. What would the EU look like without her?
Well, certainly, Toad, she's been around for a long time. You have to remember when she took over as leader of the CDU back in 2000. President Clinton was in the White House. Tony Blair was presiding over a booming Britain, and Jacques Chirac was in the Elysee Palace. So a lot has changed in her 18 years as leader. She is, of course, one of the longest-serving leaders also of a European country, getting elected in 2005. But you're right, that element of stability that she's brought to the European Union has clearly seen it through many crises, not least of all, of course, the Greek debt crisis, about 5 years or so ago. And many people still rely on Angela Merkel and Germany to provide that stability through clearly some of the crises that the European Union is facing at the moment, not least of all Brexit, the Italian budget, and the rise of populism, particularly in Eastern Europe. And her instability at home, the fact that she is clearly now on a path to withdrawing from or stepping back from politics and from the various roles that she holds, I think that will undermine people's confidence and undermine her ability and Germany's ability to shape Europe, which it has done so much of over the last couple of decades.
Darren, who else could take on the mantle and lead the EU like she has, briefly?
Well, that's the big question, of course. Many eyes have been on Emmanuel Macron, the French president, as the person to try and do that, though he's having to cope, of course, with many of his domestic difficulties, not least of all that his popularity in France has dropped off the edge of a cliff. We'll have to see who's going to take over from Angela Merkel. Clearly, she has her favourites, not least of all the chairperson of the General Secretary, of the CDU party. And there is a feeling that she is stepping back from this role in order to give potential candidates the potential to build up their profile. We have to remember Gerhard Schroeder, when he was German Chancellor, did this back in 2004. He stepped back from his leadership. But ultimately, the problems for the CDU go beyond totes just Angela Merkel. They are losing support to both the left in the Greens and the right in the AfD.